Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, the world's leading authority on childcare marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Our host, Brian Duprey, is the world's most sought-after childcare coach, having helped tens of thousands of childcare owners from around the globe take their business to the next level. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, our host, Brian Duprey.
Hello and welcome to the Childcare Genius Training Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Duprey, and for another amazing training episode today, joined today by my amazing co-host, Blessing Okoro. Blessing is on the Childcare Genius marketing team. How are you doing, Blessing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about our topics today.
Oh, awesome. I'm excited too. Today we're going to talk about website must-haves. Well, Blessing is one of the top childcare website producers in the entire world. I think she's the absolute best. She works on the Childcare Genius marketing team, and she's done hundreds and hundreds of childcare websites, and they are just absolutely amazing. We're going to give you some tips today on, 3 to 5 tips on what website must-haves. So what should everybody have in their website, Blessing?
Well, Brian, I think the most important thing to start off would be a compelling value proposition. So your website needs to show parents your value and your benefits. So they need to come to your website and quickly understand your unique approach to childcare and what sets you apart. So a lot of people focus on just content, but you need to make sure your content shows your unique selling points. So that's the most important thing. And you need to use that to build trust and confidence in your services. So an example would be, loving care and early learning for your little one, or experienced caregivers dedicated to your child's development. Just show parents that you're the right pick for their child. So before any elements, making sure that you have clear and compelling value propositions listed for sure. And then, of course, once you have that settled, you need to think about the user experience. So the most important thing then would be mobile-first design. So you need to think about how often parents are visiting your website through their phones, and keep that in mind when you're building. So your website should look great on every screen. So desktop, tablet, iPhone, it should be a seamless mobile experience, because research has shown that over 80% of parents are searching on their phone first. And then after that, you need to think about how user-friendly it is. So you need a user-friendly navigation. So busy parents typically want to find information really quickly and easily. So, you need simple navigation to ensure they have a positive experience. Make sure you're focusing on the key information. So clear and concise menu labels like programs, about us, enrollment options. You organize your content logically by age group or program type. Make sure your contact information is prominent, as well as your enrollment information. And maybe consider adding an FAQ section to address common questions. So that should make them easy to find. And of course, another one would be strong call to actions. So you need to guide parents towards what action you want them to take. So scheduling a tour, contacting you, enrolling their child. So clear call to actions create a sense of urgency to make them make that next step. So an example would be contact us to learn more, enroll your child now, schedule a tour today. Those are really strong call to actions to consider sprinkling throughout your website. And all of this is not important as much as having a fast loading website. So make sure that your parents are able to access your website as quickly as possible. So, some tips would be, optimizing your images, making sure that the pictures are not too large, and making sure that you're minimizing the use of unnecessary plugins or code. A lot of this you need a wonderful web designer or developer to help you out with, because there are different ways to make sure your website loads very quickly. And that will help you in Google scoring, your SEO. So you need to make sure your website loads very, very, very quickly. So yeah, Brian, that would be like the top most important things you need to make sure your website has.
Another thing maybe would be make sure it's optimized for mobile too, right? Because most people looking at websites on a
Absolutely.
mobile phone.
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, for over 80% of parents will be looking at their phones before
Oh, that's
the desktop.
crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, most people are looking that way. So you got to make sure that people can read it probably on mobile. So make sure you check your own website to see how you look on your own mobile device, right?
Yeah, you need to make sure your site is optimized for smaller screens before you even think of the bigger ones. So, try to scroll through your own website and see how long does it take them to scroll from the top to the bottom. That also helps you think about making sure your content is concise, because if your website is super long on a mobile, they may not get to your call to action. They might just, move ahead. So think about the mobile first design, making sure your content is simple and it's concise, because they don't want to scroll for hours. It'll take more time on a phone versus on a computer to read all your information. So you may even consider omitting some sections on your mobile design versus your desktop. And these are the kind of things that, an experienced web developer will tell you, having some sections that are hidden on a mobile versus some sections that are hidden on a desktop version. So that is definitely very, very important, Brian.
Interesting. So I've had a couple calls in the last couple of weeks with people. One, I had somebody who didn't even have a website, and we're struggling with enrollment. And I was like, wow, in today's modern world, I guess there are some people out there that still don't have them. And it's kind of it's a must-have, sort of like a sign outside your building. You must have a website today. It's just absolutely critical, right? I mean, you can't do business without it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, everyone knows that the first thing a parent does is Google what they need. So, if you're not coming up on Google because you don't have a website, that's not going to be good for you. So a website it's your real estate online. You need it. Just like you need a physical location, you need an online location as well. It's very important.
Yeah. So, and another person I met with last week who had done their own website and they wanted to know why they weren't ranking on Google. Like we're ranking at the very bottom. And I explained to them how, all the things that go on a website, what Google looks for. And sometimes when you do it yourself, you're not optimizing that site for mobile. You're not thinking about picture size. You're not thinking about backlinks, all the things that you put on a website that drive Google's algorithm. And we recorded an
Absolutely.
episode how important that stuff is. And you're like, well, I could do it myself much cheaper. Well, you could build a sign to put out your side. You could do it yourself and paint it. But having a
Mm-hmm.
professional one would probably look better and attract more people. So it's all about the quality. And since a website is your number one ROI, return on investment, I believe, the money you put into your website will come back to you 100-fold. It's probably the best ROI you can
Absolutely.
spend, bar none. It's an area where you really don't want to be cheap, um, because so many people are counting on that. That's where 95% of your business is going to come in from. It's one area I think you don't skimp. In all, you could skimp in a couple different areas. This is one area I don't think you skimp in, right? To hire a professional.
Absolutely. You definitely need that because, again, a website is not just pictures, it's also content. And you need someone that knows the right way to put content up there, because your content should be SEO optimized. It should have keywords sprinkled in there, long-term keywords. Like, you need to make sure that your content is going to pop up when parents search for certain things. So it's not just about having a website, but a one that's very optimized for Google. Google knows when your website is professionally done versus when it's not, So one of the things that a web developer might do for you is submit your sitemap to Google so that Google can crawl it, know all the pages on there, and know the right one to output when people search. You're not going to be able to do that yourself. You're not going to be able to submit your own sitemap through those web builders like Wix or GoDaddy, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of work. You need to have a professional that knows what to do. to submit things to Google that makes your website show up on the top of search. And it is a long game, absolutely, but you need to at least do the bare minimum to make sure your website is optimized for Google.
Awesome. So if you're listening and you're saying, you know what, my website I did myself years ago, or I had it done and it's been a while and it needs a refresh, and it's not built for this latest technology. There's a lot of really cool new technology and new websites out there. And what I found out too is the attention span of our readers is a lot less than it was 20 years ago. So you need to grab their attention quickly. And they also have shiny object syndrome, I've noticed, the younger people. So you need to have interactive websites that move and engage, like a fidget spinner almost, for these people to hold their attention, because their attention span is like that of a gnat. So you have to grab them and hold them. And I've seen some really cool stuff you've done on websites that grab people's attention. So we're going to close here because we're up against time. But if you need a website makeover, you need a new website, or you just don't even have one, you need one, go to childcaregenius.com, go to our marketing tab, and get on a call with me. I will talk to you about this, see if this is something you do. We have great pricing. Blessing, like I said, is one of the top developers. She will develop your website, work with you, get exactly what you need, so you get found when people search you. And I want to thank you, Blessing, for coming on to the Child Care Genius podcast, sharing your amazing knowledge. And I can't just wait to see the canvas that you paint with the websites around the world. Just absolutely love working with you. And I'll see you in Jamaica in a couple of weeks.
Yes, thank you so much, Brian, for having me. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Child Care Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your child care business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Child Care Genius community.